seeking a call. David Clendon has the call.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Mr Speaker, in my few minutes I will focus on Section 5 and particularly the proposed amendment where the Select Committee, to its credit, belatedly endeavours to install the principle of consultation into this bill. And clearly consultation is something that has been sadly lacking in the development of this legislation, most particularly in terms of consultation with Māori, with tangata whenua. And I'm astonished by the closing remarks of the Speaker who just sat down in terms of one particular iwi, Rahapu, and I'll come to that shortly. This proposed amendment is too little too late. One can hear the echo of the stable door slamming. The horse has long disappeared over the horizon. Too little, because all it actually requires the Council to do is to consult about the transfer of this asset from public into private ownership with every iwi authority. It doesn't require them to go below that level. It's too little and it's too late because the core decision, the key decision, has long since been made. And I think it's worth referring to the generally accepted principles of consultation that have evolved and developed, particularly since the early 90s, around environment law, resource management, local government law. And one of the key propositions to that arising from an Environment Court ruling is that consultation involves the statement of a proposal not yet fully decided upon, listening to what others have to say, considering their response, then deciding what will be done. That notion of a proposal not yet fully decided upon. Clearly, in the case of this bill, the key decision has long since been made. It's right there in the core purpose of the bill, to establish a process by which the Council may obtain the authority to transfer the asset effectively from community into private hands. Further, the principles of consultation also require adequate information of the proposals to be given in a timely manner. Consultation should not be treated as a mere formality. The parties are to approach consultation with an open mind. This bill, this legislation, fails on all of those tests in terms of the engagement, or rather the failure to engage or consult with affected tangata whenua in Taranaki region. And the evidence for that is very clear. It's contained in the submissions to the bill. Taranaki Iwi Trust, one of 8 iwi in Taranaki, approximate interest from west of New Plymouth, around the coast to Opunaki and inland into the mountain to Taranaki Maunga. They say that, and I quote from the submission, the lack of consultation, engagement and involvement in the development of the bill, the Trust does not have all the relevant information in respect of the specific detail relating to the management and operation of the scheme. They go on to say the Trust was not consulted or engaged with at any stage regarding the development of the bill. We heard from Dr. Smith, who endeavoured to substitute volume for content. We heard constant reference to community. Māori, tangata whenua, make up a pretty significant chunk of the Taranaki community. They have been utterly ignored and excluded in the development of this bill. There is no consultation, there has been no engagement. It is there in black and white from a significant iwi with whom the Crown is engaging around treaty settlements, of course. The Trust does acknowledge that 2 marae have had some marginal input into this. They make the point that those 2 marae they've got the right to determine their own futures, but they make the point very clearly this does not constitute consultation or engagement with the Trust, the mandated body for Taranaki iwi. Similarly, the Runanga of Ngāti Ruanui, very similar. Submission on behalf of 7,000 uri, 16 hapu and 10 affected marae. They make the equally clear point. They are kaitiaki of this area and they oppose this legislation in its entirety. They make the point that this bill has the potential to effect a sea change. The notion that assets that involve water, which are known to be under treaty claim, known to be subject of treaty claims, could be transferred from public to private ownership. And that's a very significant and potentially a very dangerous precedent. They go on to say, Ngāti Ruanui raised serious concerns about the District Council consultation with iwi about this bill. I quote, "In the last 10 years, iwi have not been given an opportunity to discuss or be involved. This Parliament and the Crown should not continue this exclusion." Fairly clear-cut, fairly unequivocal statements of exclusion, of failure to consult, failure to engage in a process that has been going on for 10 or indeed 12 years. It is unacceptable. This harks back to the 1970s and 80s when Māori were routinely ignored in decisions about land and water use, allocation and so much else besides. Ngāti Ruanui again note the development of this bill has for many years been debated and constructed by South Taranaki District Council. Meaningful discussion could have been undertaken with the iwi of South Taranaki. No such consultation has occurred. The Council failed in its duty to consult with iwi. And we must agree entirely with that. It is clear-cut, it is straightforward. The remarkable statement that the former National Speaker made was that ngā hapu o ngā ruahini iwi gave some sort of sign-off to this legislation. I'd like to, for the members' benefit and the benefit of the House, quote from the submission to the Select Committee from ngā hapu o ngā ruahini. Holding a Crown recognised mandate to represent the iwi and hapu, we oppose the bill in its current form, I quote. There has been inadequate consultation with local tangata whenua by the Council in developing this bill. How one can derive from that the proposition that somehow these hapu support this legislation is frankly beyond me, and I do wonder where that assertion came from, and I'd love to hear some defence of it or some support for it. So clearly this bill has failed to engage with iwi. It has been over a decade in the development.
Order.
It is in...
Sorry to interrupt the member. The time has come for the dinner adjournment. I shall resume the chair at 7:30.